Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Karma strikes yet again. So this weekend I was supposed to pick up my mom from my grandparents' place since my dad was out of town and the place is 100 km away from our city. Mom has a driver's license but does not drive. Since I do not trust my car to leave the city with it, I proceed to take my dad's car that he left at home to go pick up mom. Since I would not be using my own car for the duration, I decided to give it to my girlfriend to go shopping and such while I'm gone. So we wake up Sunday morning, we live together, get in my car, and I drive us to my parents' place to pick up my dad's car. I lived in my dad's car and my girlfriend lived in mine. I didn't even make it out of the city when I got a call from her asking if I could come back since she had been in an accident. I headed back since the site of the accident was at the very end of the street we lived on. Once I got there, I found out that once she reached the end of the street, she made a right turn and hit the first two cars parked on the street. Honestly, I didn't know how to contain my laughter. I mean, hitting a parked car? No, two parked cars? That takes skill. So I proceed to talk with the owners of the cars and I offered to pay for everything since my girlfriend was at fault. I had no problem going to the police except for the 3 to 6 hour waiting time every time you go to the accident department. But I offered to fill out an amiably form. This is something we have in my country, where if you have an accident, both sides just fill out the form and be on their way without contacting the police. I live in a capital city and we get lots of accidents on a daily basis. Since it was Sunday and all the insurance places were closed, I could not acquire such a form, so I proceeded to let them photograph my insurance, exchange phone numbers, and assure them that we were neighbors and that tomorrow, Monday, I would contact them with a form to fill it out. All is fine and I leave for my grandparents' place. On my way there, I contacted a friend that works for insurance and he mailed me a form along with a reference for a service station that would have their cars repaired in a day. I proceed to call the guys and tell them that I will be back in a couple of hours with the form and we will get everything settled today. To this, one of the guys says in his position he is entitled to go to the police, so he will be waiting for us here if we decide to come. And this is where I pulled a 180. So I was trying to be a decent human being and repair the damage my girlfriend caused, and this guy wanted to waste 3 to 6 hours of my Sunday because he felt entitled. Alright, fine. At this point, it may be useful to mention that I have studied law to a master's degree, have the degree and have been working at law firms for over 5 years, so I pretty much know the laws better than the cops themselves. Karma starts to kick in. I call the guys on the way back from my grandparents and ask him to grab a copy of the form that needs to be filled out for me as well. These forms have a number order on them and first come first serve. They tell me they cannot, since there is only one per person. This is nonsense. I know this for a fact. When you ask for such a form, the cops even ask if the other party is here to give one for them too. Regardless, I got there after they had been waiting for about 2 to 3 hours, and I requested the form. They had numbers 56 and 57, and I had 89. Mind you, each case takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Lazy jerks. So when their number came up, I was just getting my form in. As I entered the office, I also entered and asked the cop, I'm also a part of this incident, as it was a 3-way accident. Should I not also be here when you talk to the other two parts? And the cop proceeds to tell the guys to leave his office and come back when all 3 of us have filled out the report. The guys proceed to wait for another 30 minutes for my girlfriend to fill out the report, and then we all go in once she is done. Now we get to the core of the problem, the most incompetent police officer I have ever seen. I'm sure even those among you with no legal background or knowledge will see how pathetic this guy is. People who filed reports, the other two, one of them did not even have a driver's license because it was his mom's car, and his girlfriend filled the report. The other guy had a driver's license and filed his report although the car belonged to his parents. This is relevant since the only people legally allowed to file that report is either the owner of the car or the person driving it at the time, which none of these two were. The cop finds my girlfriend guilty, as she truly was to be honest, and he proceeds to fill out the paperwork. I ask him, "Officer, do you know the regulations for parking on the street this incident happened on?" "No." "And do you not think it is relevant to this case?" Now, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was all gibberish ending up with, "You really dislike cops, don't you?" To which I answer, "I dislike incompetent individuals in any profession." He ends up getting his way since he was the authority in the situation and proceed to ticket my girlfriend and hand the guys copies of my insurance to get their cars fixed. Edit. Small detail I left out. The cop did not take pictures of the damaged cars, as is mandatory by the law for any case that comes across his desk. He literally has no evidence an accident ever happened, apart from the words of the other two guys. I am sure that any policeman reading this would have a field day. Cue karma. As soon as I get home, I start to do exactly what society and my profession taught me. Sue him. I filed a lawsuit on Monday and got a date in 4 months. Litigation in non-penal cases is very slow in my country. Usual time to finish a lawsuit is anywhere between 1 to 8 years depending on how much your lawyer wants to push it. The thing is that she was in fact at fault, and had they just taken me up on my offer and not wasted my time, they would have had their cars fixed by now, Tuesday. But they were entitled to go to the police. Fact. Parking regulations on that street, as any other for a matter of fact, state that cars should be parked parallel to the sidewalk, not on it, not perpendicular, parallel. The street has a few apartment buildings, so there is nowhere near enough parking places, so the neighbors made a convention to park perpendicular to the sidewalk to fit more care, taking up a whole lane of traffic, but that's another story. The thing with conventions is that it's all fine and dandy till something happens and the police gets involved. Then law states you must take responsibility for what happened. So basically there is no chance whatsoever that we will lose this lawsuit, and I will even drag it out as much as possible. I'm thinking I could get it up to 4 to 5 years no problems. Now another kink is a law that states that any item that is under litigation does not produce legal effects. In translation, this means that until the judge gives a verdict to my lawsuit, the ticket is suspended. So the guys will not be able to fix their cars, not even on their own dime. It is somewhat assimilated to evidence, but at a much lower scale. Also, once the process is over, not only will I not be paying for the repair, they will be paying for mine. My main argument in a lawsuit is a legal concept known as casualty link, which applied to my case. Means, yes, my girlfriend caused an accident, but that accident was caused by you parking your cars illegally. If you would have parked legally, there would have been more room, your car would not have been in that spot, and thus would not have been hit, regardless of my girlfriend's actions. So basically, your action of parking your car that way caused the damage to my car. Next story. Piss me off? Have fun with SWAT. This happened about a year ago. I just returned from a business-related trip to the frozen north, Canada, of which I had been gone for about 8 months. During this time, my wife had kept me apprised of everything going on in the neighborhood, as well as her suspicions that our new neighbors behind us, henceforth known as DDN for drug-dealing neighbors, were dealing drugs. Since I'm all about keeping my family safe, I installed security cameras all around and inside my house. Most of my neighbors were perfectly fine with the cameras, and a few asked if I could set theirs up if they bought them. DDN, however, was not pleased. He waited until I was heading out to my car and confronted me, demanding I take them down. Hey, take those freaking cameras down. I don't need no one knowing my ass. No, they are watching my property. Can't see into your yard at all. Man, screw you. Take those stuff down or I will. If I ever see you on my property again, you will leave in a body bag. At this point, I know my wife's suspicions were well founded. I watched the camera feeds and started noting that he had a lot of quick visitors around 3 a.m. Cars would pull up in front of my driveway, he'd meet them, exchanges were made and the cars would leave. Not too long after, I got a motion alert on 2 of my cameras and my dog started going nuts. I saw my front door handle move. It's go time. I grabbed my shotgun and rushed to the front door, but as soon as I tried opening it, my beagle tried bolting outside, howling at the trespassers. Unable to deal with him and properly hold that 12 gauge, I opted to keep my dog and yelled at the 2 men standing there to get the heck off of my property. That night my motorcycle was stolen. They broke the locks off, and every camera on the ground floor had to be repositioned and replaced. I checked the footage and watched as DDN walked up to them and hit them. I was done being a bystander. I contacted the police, but even with security footage, they claimed there was nothing they could do. I was furious. I knew who did it, had the proof. There was nothing I could do about it. Yet. For the next couple days, I studied municipal and building codes. I started filling report after report on my DDN. Broken down cars in the yard, that's violation. Broken gutters hanging off the roof, that's a violation. Parking dogs after 10 p.m., that's a violation. I nickel and dime them for anything I could, hoping to goad them into doing something. I put tainted gas in a gas can on the back of my Jeep, which was unsurprisingly stolen. Suddenly, their dirt bike engine blew up the next night. DDN confronted me again, threatening that if the complaints did not stop, couldn't guarantee my dogs or my wife will be safe. Heated words were exchanged. He stormed up to me and the encounter ended with weapons drawn and both of us going back inside our homes. Finally, the coup de grace. Remember the security footage of DDN's late-night visitors? I filed a report with the Counter-Narcotics Division and included everything. License plate numbers, car models and colors, all the information I gathered for the past few months. They got enough security footage for a search warrant. And the other evidence made sure it wasn't a friendly visit. I got to watch the security cameras as SWAT descended on their house. I got to see DDN and everyone else was led out in cuffs. I later found out that the dogs I had called about were being bred and used as bait dogs. The police confiscated a small arsenal and enough drugs that those jerks won't be out of jail until I'm retired. Next story. Put a label on it. Okay. As a poor student many years ago, I lived in a house with 5 other poor students. We had a shared kitchen with a shared refrigerator. I had a big jug of water I would keep chilled in the fridge. I'd occasionally throw a few limes or lemons into it, if I could afford it. It was the only cold drink I could afford at the time. I was really poor. I didn't mind other folks using it as long as they topped it up from time to time. But I'd come home from class and find an empty jug sitting in a refrigerator. I'd fill it, put it back, come back later and it would be empty again. I started getting annoyed. The final straw came when I walked into the kitchen and my roommate was drinking straight from the jug. Really, dude? I yelled at the guy, hey, show some respect and use a glass. Better yet, get your own jug. That's not yours. And the roommate shrugged his shoulders and said, well, you should have put a label on it. I went to bed seething. In the middle of the night, it came to me. Yes, label it is. Cue malicious compliance. Next morning, I found a label and in bold Sharpie wrote 5 letters. Urine. Stuck it on the jug and put it back in the fridge. Later on, I returned home to find a housemate staring into the fridge. Why is there a jug of urine in the fridge? Oh no, that's not urine. It's a jug of water with urine written on the side. Then why is it labeled urine? Well, to discourage everyone from drinking it. But you're more than welcome to have some, I said. He stared at me confused, then back at the fridge. Nah, I'm good. This question was eventually asked by everyone in the house. I answered it in the same honest way. It was perfectly clear that it was a jug of water with some sliced lemons in it. But no one drank my water again. Ever. Turns out no one will drink water from a jug that is labeled urine. One of life's little mysteries. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.